Please, sir, I want some more.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of the More Glen More podcast. Our iTunes feed is back up. Our Citra feed is back up. We are back up and rolling when it comes to listening to the show. And you can follow me on Twitter at GlenmoreCLE. And all the past shows are still up, from the Cavs winning the title to some breaking down of the Cavs season, to also my interview with Matt Eisman, my tales from the locker room, and my interview with my wrestling co-host, Steve Guy. This week, for this show, is my hour interview with former Tribe closer Chris Perez. And I know a lot of you listening are from Cleveland and are probably like, Chris Perez, you know, he hasn't been here in a few years. Why the hell would I care about Chris Perez has to say? Well, we talk about Cleveland. We talk about his time in Cleveland. He does have some great memories here in Cleveland. He's retired from baseball. He's now in Tampa, Florida, living with his wife and 3 kids. He now plays tennis for fun. Hasn't picked up a baseball in over a year and a half. So a guy that I chat with. We did podcasts together. We did videos together about 4 or 5 years ago. So we have that. So we have a good rapport when it comes to doing a show. So we talk about his time in Cleveland. We talk about why he retired. We talk about other things that went on with the Tribe, and when he made those comments about the fans and what he truly meant. Does he regret it? And would he put Cleveland on a no trade clause? Just like Jonathan Lucroy did. And he kind of gives a little bit in details about the no-trade clause and why, some guys put some teams on the no-trade clause and why some other guys, put different teams on the no-trade clause. And you would never believe who went up to Chris Perez and shook his hand, thanking him for the comments he made when he made those comments a few years back about the fans coming out and booing the team. And, coming out, the last attendance, for games when he was there, we were not very good when the Tribe, before they became a contender in 2013. So you never believe who shook his hand and said thank you for saying what he said back in 2012. He reveals who does that. And he also gives some other, tidbits about Cleveland. But he does think Cleveland rocks. And we talk about that and more in my interview with Chris Perez. We also talk about the Major League trading deadline, how the Indians got Miller, Lucroy going against Cleveland and not coming to Cleveland, vetoing that trade, and now going to Texas. So we talk about that as well. So a lot of good stuff. So I know you may not be a fan of Chris Perez, but it's a good podcast listen. So I hope you sit back and enjoy. My guest this week is a former Major League Baseball All-Star, a former closer for your Cleveland Indians, a man that I used to shoot some 60 seconds of Pure Rage videos with, 30 minutes of Pure Rage podcasts way back in the day. This is, I would say 5 years ago we started doing these. He is my guest this week on the show. We're going to talk some Tribe, his time in Cleveland, anything goes. I'll read him some mean tweets. It's going to be a fun time to talk with Chris Perez. Man, it's been a long time since we've done a show together. I mean, we did one, I think, last year talking wrestling, but it's been a while since we had one talking baseball and just talking shop, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. It feels good. I think it has been like 5 years.
Yeah.
I think it was right when before my son was born, even. So, yeah, it's been a long time. Good to come back home.
And all the videos that we're talking about, They are still on YouTube, so people can look them up. I think there's like 15 of them. All the interviews we did with, before Indians games and the dugout on the field. Jerry the King Lawler was a guest on one of those. People, you're showing off your cars in the locker room that you had by your locker. So all those videos are on YouTube if you guys want to check them out. But Chris, you've been so you're officially retired from Major League Baseball, correct?
Correct. I signed the papers last year. and they make you sign papers for sure.
So you can't come back if you wanted to.
No, you can always come back.
Yeah.
You have to wait 6 months.
So what happened? Obviously, you had some injuries, but what's the real story on why you retired from Major League Baseball?
There's just a combination of stuff, but mostly just my performance wasn't up to my own standards, and I didn't want to play minor league baseball. So, I have 3 kids and 3 young kids, and it isn't really. I'm not cut out to be on bus trips. And when I didn't retire, I was 2,000 miles away in Colorado Springs, and it just wasn't a good situation, and I didn't see a way out of it playing wise with the team. So I just said, I don't have to do this, and I don't want to, so I'll retire.
It was, you 2-time All-Star. You went to the Dodgers as well. Before we get into Cleveland time, you kind of established yourself not only in Cleveland but in Major League Baseball as one of the best closers in that 2-3 year span. When you went to L.A. and you were you were setting up, or you were just a middle relief guy. You weren't even were you the setup guy or no?
Yeah, early in the year I was. April and May, I got off to a pretty good start. I think I had like 9 or 10 or 11 scoreless appearances in a row, and Brian Wilson, who was the setup guy, was hurt. So I was setting up Jansen, our closer, and I was actually doing pretty good and in a good groove. And then Wilson came back from the injury, and I kind of got bumped out of that role, and I never really recovered it, and I never really adjusted pitching-wise either, and I had a pretty bad year. I ended up going on the DL in August. I finished strong. I came back in September and finished 9 straight scoreless appearances, and I didn't go for a run in September. But then they left me off the playoff roster, which I'm pretty good at self-evaluating. And in September I was throwing good, and I could have helped them in the playoffs, but they left me off the roster because they wanted some younger guys to get some experience for the next year, which is cool. I understand it was the name of the game, but I think all in all, it's baseball. They didn't have my best interest at heart because they're trying to win, which is cool. And I didn't do them any favors by having a rough stretch from, half the year. But it kind of worked out the way it was supposed to.
Now let's go back to Cleveland. You were here, traded from St. Louis in 2009. You settled into your own around 2010. You had a 1.71 ERA. You started to save ball games. You had 23 saves that year. And then you were an All-Star in 2011, 2012, 36 and 39 saves both those years. Then 2013. We'll get to 2013, but you were very vocal. We covered it on the show when we had you on back then, even in the videos. And you were very vocal about the fans of Cleveland. And looking back at that, and I would say people agreed with what you said, but there was a lot of. It's always how it goes with the negative people and the people who disagree with you. Always have the louder voice when it comes to a controversial statement. If you would go back, do you regret what you said, or do you think you would keep quiet? And did you get any backlash from any teammates saying what you said?
Honestly, I would not take back one thing I did or said. Obviously, I think it hurt me career-wise. I think I would still have opportunities, not this year, but last year and the year before, I would have had better opportunities if I obviously didn't stir some controversy. And also, my off-the-field history too. But no, I want to take it back because it was true. And, I was speaking from the heart. It wasn't like I had just been there for that season. I think I did it like maybe my third year there, my second or third year there. So,
right.
I had seen, I had given it some time to turn around. I understand when I first got there, we were terrible. Like getting traded from St. Louis in 2009, a team that's perennially in the playoffs, and Tony La Russa is your manager, and he's one of the hard-nosed. I don't think I ever saw him smile, kind of a manager. To a Cleveland situation where it was just kind of like. It's kind of like going from high school to middle school, kind of. There's guys there, their first time getting a taste of the majors, and guys, it's just different atmosphere, You can be successful in both of them, but it's just totally different atmosphere. And then Wedgie gets fired at the end of that year, and Acton comes in. So I had been there a while when I said these comments, and we were playing good ball at the time. I think we were like in first place maybe when I was saying it. And, it's just, I think I said the truth, and you can't really argue with it. I mean, the results are the results. After I said it, obviously I learned more about the whole reason why the fans don't come or can't come. Obviously during that time, during the heydays in the 90s, obviously the Browns were gone. Everybody, Cleveland knows all of those things. The Browns were gone. The Indians had a new stadium, a great team. The economy was booming. It was just a different time period. So anything it might have hurt people to hear it, but it was true.
Yeah, and I agree with that because a lot of people would come out for opening day. The place would be sold out, and then those people wouldn't come back to a game. And they've done some things to the ballpark to make it more convenient, maybe geared towards more the casual baseball fan, and looking for the fans that maybe aren't interested in watching very closely to a 9-inning baseball game, but more to come out and have I'm going to have a couple beers in the corner right field area with my friends, and there's a baseball game too. It's more of that kind of atmosphere than 45,000 people on the edge of their seat watching a game like it was here in the 90s when the Indians were competing for division titles every year. But I think it was more of maybe some people don't like a player telling them how to spend their money, especially in this economy.
I wasn't telling them how to spend their money, really. If you want to go back to my original rant, I was saying don't boo us. You can't boo us if you don't come. I wasn't saying come. I was saying if you do come, enjoy yourself. But when you are here and we make a mistake, don't boo because there's only 5,000 of you. If it's a sold out crowd and we make mistakes, let us have it. I understand that. And it wasn't just that one incident. It was built up. Obviously, it wasn't just that one game or anything. It was it was what I've seen from my whole time in Cleveland. Obviously, the economics and everything in Cleveland have changed over the last 10 or 15 years, just the way it is. I mean, the economy's different. It used to be a steel city, and now you guys have switched over to a different kind of economy, and it takes time for that to take place. And as a result, population leaves. You don't have as many people to actually go to a game. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you should support the team. You should be like a hometown supporter no matter what. Kind of like the Cubs, a lovable loser kind of a mentality, not so hated. It was so much hatred there. I don't know why.
Well, how would you sum up your time in Cleveland? Because obviously you're an all-star. You were a crowd favorite. People loved when you came out the fire starter. And then when you had those comments, people seemed to turn on you, and you really weren't a crowd favorite anymore. And obviously everything happened. You left and everything, and obviously, you had some issues, with I don't want to bring it up, but you had some issues off the field as well. But I mean, how would you sum up your time in Cleveland? Did you like your time in Cleveland? Did you like playing for the Indians? Did you like the fans? I mean, I know you're going to be honest. You're going to be brutally honest. I know you're going to sugarcoat things, but how would you just sum up your overall time in Cleveland?
I had a great time. I accomplished all of my dreams in Cleveland. I became an all-star. I got to sell it as a major league player. I got to do what I wanted to do in the majors, be a closer, everyday closer. I made the playoffs. That was a goal. I didn't win a championship, but sometimes that's out of your hands, especially in baseball. It's definitely a team sport. But I accomplished all my big league goals and dreams in Cleveland. Is Cleveland the best place to play? No, it's not. When you look across the country at major league cities, there's just better cities. There just is. I mean, Chicago, New York, I don't want to beat a drum. And I know Cleveland has gotten better since the time I've left with the casino opening and obviously LeBron coming back and everything. But the weather, it's just a hard place to play. Being right there in Lake Erie, you never know when a shower's going to come up. It's hard early in the year, all that stuff. So, when I got traded to the Indians, I was 23 years old. So I was a young kid. I had worked my whole life to get to the big leagues, and I got drafted by a great organization in St. Louis. Pretty much dream come true, right?
Yeah.
You get drafted by a great organization, known for winning, always fighting for a playoff spot with Albert Pujols, and, guys you watched growing up as a kid on your team. I was in heaven in St. Louis. So at 23 years old, just out of the blue to get traded to a different situation, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mentally ready for it. I wasn't preparing for it. I was in my mind, I was the future closer for the Cardinals. Why would they trade me?
Yeah.
And then one day I wake up and I'm traded to Cleveland. I don't even know who my manager is or anybody on the team or anything like that, let alone what does it do for my future. And, I had a good conversation with my agent, and he's like, listen, this is the best opportunity for you to be a closer. There's no pressure on you. You're going to a terrible team. They're going to throw you out there, and if you give up 3 runs, they're going to throw you out there again tomorrow. This is your time to make yourself Chris Perez. And I looked at it from that point of view, and I'm like, yeah, this is. So that year in 2009, I went to the grindstone, and I started working. So to get to be a closer, and, lo and behold, within a year I was. So in that sense, Cleveland gave me, let me do what I wanted to do. So I'm forever grateful for that. I wish it could have turned out differently. I wish I could have stayed there and keep playing and really see this thing through. Because this year you guys have a great team with a lot of the same players I played with. So I wish it would have worked out differently, but that's life. I'm not gonna complain about my year in LA. My family had a great time out there. Yeah. My kids, my wife. It didn't go great on the baseball field, but I had a great time with that team. Watching Kershaw pitch, Greinke pitch, and all that. I had a great time. So my time in Cleveland, it was definitely up and down, but overall, especially the further I get away from it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fans. I would be that kind of fan. That's me. That's who I am. I want a good team. I want to know that the front office is doing everything they can to put a good team on the field, which as a player playing under that front office, I didn't always feel was the case. Trade deadline wise, or signing free agent wise, or who they called up from AAA wasn't always to make the best team on the field, but sometimes it was about money. A lot of times it was about money. So, and then they would want the players to sell, we're going out to win this year. I don't buy into that bullshit, that BS, So,
yeah. You can swear.
It was hard sometimes. It was hard.
Final question before we get into, trading deadline stuff. In 2013, you obviously guys made the wild card and it made the playoffs. You were struggling, especially in game 159 in the Twin series and your appearance before against the White Sox. Did it take away at all celebrating making the playoffs for that team at all because you were struggling, or did it just when the final out was made, when Swisher made that play, and that's the iconic image when it comes to the Indians clinching a playoff berth. Did it take away at all because you were performing not to your standard, or did it not matter?
If you ask my teammates, I think they would tell you that I was the same guy. It did not matter. I was more upset that I might blow the chance. Yeah. Because I was pitching so bad. And after that game in Minnesota, I came into Frank Connor's office, and I'm like, the next couple of games I can't close. Like, you don't go down with me. We're so close. We have so many other guys in the bullpen throwing well. Smitty was throwing well. Masterson was down there because it was an oblique injury. Brian Shaw was throwing well. Cody Allen was throwing the crap out of the ball. We had so many options besides me. Don't just give me the ball because I'm the closer. Like, let's win this thing. Like, I don't care. I just want to let's get to the playoffs. We'll figure it out after that. And I was, of course, I wanted to be on the field instead of Masterson to get that last out, but I didn't deserve it, and I understood it, and I was happy just the same. And we had a great party in the clubhouse. It was fun, because I did contribute during the course of the year. I had 25 saves, and before the All-Star break there, I was really on fire, and then just the second half just kind of broke down. But I did contribute, so I was excited, and I did enjoy it.
If you didn't go into Frank Connor's office and say, hey, there's other guys, playing well, better than me right now. Don't throw me out there as a closer. Do you think you would have stayed in that role, especially in key games late in the season?
No chance.
No.
He's a manager. He's there to win.
Yeah.
He's not going to let one guy blow it. Yeah. And the whole team could have seen it. I mean, that Minnesota game was the last the last nail. The White Sox game, yeah, it stung and it sucked for me. We still won the game thanks to Giambi, but I wasn't throwing well. But that that Twins game, we were up five runs, I think, or 6 runs. I was just going in there to get some work, to get some confidence, and I couldn't even get out of the inning. So, baseball people, we all knew. It was just I felt a lot better to say it instead of just having that elephant in the room.
All right, let's move on because obviously you being a closer and late in the game, the Indians picked up one of the best arms, if not the best lefty out there when it comes to bullpen and closing games and being in key situations. Indians traded to the Yankees for Andrew Miller. Geez, the hottest reliever on the market. First of all, were you obviously you and I text a lot during the season about the Tribe and Major League Baseball, and I think you texted me saying, "Man, I wish they would have made a move like this." When I was playing for them, but
No,
were you surprised at all?
That's not the text message. I want you to read the text message.
What was the text? I gotta let me go. It wasn't the.
I said that sure beats the move we did in 2011 when we picked up Fukudome.
That's right. I remember that. I was looking through my old tweets, from because of Time Hop, and it was 4 or 5 years. I think was it 5 years ago? 2011? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2011. Yeah.
Fukudome. Yeah, it's
Fukudome. Put us over the top.
So they were very active about, like Lucroy coming. He vetoed that trade, but they got Miller in the back end for the bullpen, and Brian Shaw. He's been up and down. Cody Allen, same thing with him, but they've been relatively decent in the back end of the bullpen. But adding Miller, man, even though he's a guy that might pitch every other day or, once every 3 or 4 days, getting him is like a shot in the arm for the team because, your organization, the guys in the front office are saying, hey, this team can win. We're helping. We're going to trade one of our top prospects for a reliever. Well,
I think, like I said earlier, most of the guys that are on that team, the core guys were there when I was there. Kipnis, and even, Jan Gomes was there. You said Allen and Shaw, they were there. Obviously, Kluber was. So a lot of those guys, Santana, a lot of those guys were still there when I was there. And they were just so used to, we would always talk about getting guys. The Indians are in on so-and-so. The Indians are going to trade for so-and-so. But we always seemed to not get the guy, always finish second or third or it just didn't work out. And it was the same kind of thing this year. The Indians are in or on Lucroy. The Indians are in on Miller. And then it actually happened. They actually got him. So I think it just totally, it definitely should give that team not just a boost, but the confidence to say, you know what, our front office manager obviously thinks that this team's good enough to win, and not just to get in the playoffs, good enough to win, go deep in the playoffs. You don't trade for Miller just to get to the playoffs. You're obviously looking to go deep. So I think him being a lefty, especially in the games that really, really matter in the playoffs, he'll be able to throw every single game in the playoffs if they really needed him. So I think it's such a good move. Plus, you get another year of him too. Like, let's say it doesn't really work out or he's not comfortable or anything. He's still a big trade chip next year too if it doesn't work out, just like he was this year.
Yeah,
it was just a great move. And plus, you never know what you get with prospects. Obviously, Francisco Lindor has panned out. He's legit. But for every Lindor, there's 2 or 3 guys that don't make it. So how do you know Clint Frazier's going to make it? He can tear up AA, he can tear up AAA. It doesn't mean he's going to tear up the big leagues. So I think with the way their team is constructed now and the way that they are seeing how pitching could dominate in the playoffs, good starting pitching, and then you hand it over to a good bullpen, I think they set themselves up pretty nicely.
Especially like when the guys got Ubaldo in 2011, at the trading deadline, and he gave up Alex White and Drew Pomeranz, two big pitching prospects. And I think Pomeranz is obviously he's still pitching, but he's having
a good year this year.
Yeah, but he's not.
How long ago was that?
That was 5 years ago. That was a Fukudome kind of. Yeah.
So if you kept him for 5 years, you would just be getting results this year, whereas Ubaldo helped you make the playoffs in 2013. So
if you're looking to win now, and I know a lot of people are like, Clint Frazier, he could have been a starting outfielder in a couple of years. You don't know that.
Yeah.
With Miller, you
don't know that. Yeah, you don't know that, and who's around him in a couple of years? Kipnis is 2 years older when Clinton gets called up. Your core is getting older, so why wait for is Clint Frazier going to be Bryce Harper? Are you going to build a whole franchise around Clint Frazier? I don't know, but you have your core guys now: Kluber, Cody Allen, guys that are in their prime right now. You have to go for it now. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree. It's because these years for the Indians, with small market teams, they're not competing every year. Every year. If you're having a good year and you have a chance to get somebody, okay, you're going to deal one of your top prospects on an if. Who knows if it's going to pan out. I think you pull the trigger.
And it's not like you're trading for an unknown quantity. If he stays healthy, Andrew Miller's a beast.
Yeah,
and he's got playoff experience, and he's played in huge games. He's played in big markets. He's been there. So if he stays healthy, you know what you're getting. Plus, who cares if you have Clint Frazier in the outfield 2, 3, 5 years from now if you guys are winning 80 games when he's there? Who cares?
Yeah, I'm not big on ifs. I want if you're winning right now and you're in a Cleveland market where next year you guys could be losing 90 games. You play to win now if you're in like a market in Cleveland. Were you surprised that Jonathan Lucroy vetoed a trade to Cleveland when he said previously, I want to play for a championship? The Indians, at the time, best record in the American League.
See, that whole thing is it's hard because I don't know what the Brewers are telling Lucroy, like, hey, this is the only team that you can get traded to.
Yeah.
Or if they're telling him, you don't know what they're telling him. So looking at it strictly from a player standpoint, you have to look at it both ways. You have to look at it financially because that is why this is a business. Unfortunately, this is what it's not the only reason why you play baseball, but it's a big part of it. It's setting up your family and stuff. So you have to look at it that way. And then B, you have to look at, do I want to win? Because you're sitting there on the last place team in Milwaukee 2 years in a row, but the future's not looking very bright. So you have a chance to go to a team that's in first place in the AL, which I happen to like the AL a little better, just personally. But and plus you get to go to a better offense to make your numbers better. So I can understand him wanting the Indians to veto his club option, especially because it is so club friendly. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is it, like $5 million?
Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy for a starting catcher that's an all-star. Obviously that's a club-friendly option. So as a player, you've worked hard to get that no-trade list into your contract. I mean, it's not like you just give it to you. You have to. He might have given up some money on that contract to get that no-trade list. So, if he's going to give up his no-trade clause, he's in his mind he's going to want something in return. I mean, it's a negotiation, right?
Yeah.
So I was actually telling my wife that we will see like how much it costs to go live in Cleveland because I know he's asking, hey, either rip up that option or let's sign an extension or something like that, But then if you're looking at it at Cleveland's point of view, why would you guarantee him the starting catcher's job when you have Yan Gomes that ready to come back next year, hopefully from his shoulder problem?
Yeah.
Why would you guarantee? It was just a weird situation. Milwaukee, they should have made sure he was gonna veto he was gonna accept the trade before they even worked out details.
Yeah.
Someone messed up on that end. But if you look at it, it worked out for Lucroy. Look where he is now. Good offense. He's gonna put up sick numbers in Texas.
Yeah, it's going to
start catching. What's that?
And it's going to be interesting because Rangers and Indians, seem to be on the crash course. So you might see Lucroy here in Cleveland.
I mean, you guys have to like throw money at him.
Yeah.
Or like, what's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, you got to come up with something better. I don't know what. I guess he didn't really go somewhere for higher money like Tomei did. I guess he vetoed a trade, so I don't know how you can make fun of him when he comes in. I guess just boom really loud, right?
So you're going to bring up Jim Tomei now, huh? You're going to bring up Jim Tomei. Jim Tomei is a legend here in Cleveland.
Oh, I know, but didn't he get money thrown at him when he came back?
He left. When he left, people were angry when he left. Back in I think it was 2000. People were angry when Ramirez left to go to the Red Sox, and people were definitely angry when Bell left to go to the White Sox in, I think it was 97. So
was that Bell? Did they throw the money at Bell?
Yeah, that was they.
Okay.
This is back when ballparks were like cool, and they played when Bell would go out up to bat. They played like the Money song, like the money. They play the cash register sound effect, and people in the left field porch threw money at Bell. So that was a good time to be a fan because obviously Bell leaving was awful, but they didn't care what you did. People were not PC like they are now.
I know.
It was great.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, But okay, so if you were on the Indians now and Lucroy, vetoed a trade to the best record in the American League, would you take that personally, or do guys in the clubhouse know this is a business? They know it's about money, and if they're in the same situation, they would probably do the same thing.
You just said it. The guys in the clubhouse know this is a business, and if they were in the same situation and they had a no trade clause, now things might be different. Lucroy has a family. A lot of things go into your decision. It's not just, I don't want to go to Cleveland because I'm not going to be a starting catcher. I mean, and like I said before, you work hard to get that no trade clause. So the guys in the clubhouse, they're probably disappointed because they want him. I mean, you want as many good players on your team as you can. At the same time, they understand. They're not going to hold it. I mean, they're not going to be gunning for Lucroy if they play the Rangers. They're going to try to beat him just like he was any other player, but they're not going to be saying, you spurned us, we'll show you. No, I mean, you get to that level, you just want you want the best team around you, and it sucks that he said no. But you know what, you suck it up and you move on, and you got Miller, and you do what you can.
Yeah, I agree. You move on, but still, when Lucroy comes to Cleveland, you boo the hell out of them because that's what fans do.
Yeah, well, the fans definitely can because they're not thinking of it through the business side. They're just thinking about it. Lucroy would help us win, and he said no, so boo him, which is fine.
All right, so you're playing for the Cardinals. If you had a no trade clause in your contract for, let's say, four teams, all right, who would those four teams be?
Now, see, this is where the business side comes in, because your agent will tell you put New York on there, the Yankees, and Boston, because if they really want to trade for you, they'll rip up your contract.
Okay.
And say, So some of that is strategic, and if you look on a lot of no trade clauses, you'll see the Yankees and Boston, not because people don't want to play there, just because they know they'll overpay. Like if they really want you as a player and you have a no trade clause there, they'll rip it up and pay you, a signing bonus or something to get you there. Okay,
so it's like half and half. It's like teams that could get you probably earn more money,
and teams you don't want to go play for, and there's teams that you hope want you bad enough that they'll renegotiate stuff.
Now, is Cleveland viewed as a team that can give you more money, or viewed as a city that they don't want to go play for?
Are you saying that with a straight face?
I'm laughing, man. So what would your if you're playing for the Cardinals, obviously a team that you enjoy winning and playing with. So you had, let's say, 5 teams now since you opened up. The Red Sox and Yankees obviously would be on the list. So what would be the other?
Red Sox, Yankees would be on the list. Oakland would be on the list.
Okay. Now is that for money, or is obviously that's where you don't want to play, correct?
Yeah, you don't want to play.
Okay.
Oakland is where you don't want to play.
Okay.
Now, at the time, before I got traded to Cleveland, we had actually come in for an interleague series. St. Louis did. And I'll never forget it because Cleveland pitched Tomaoka on like a Saturday, and Pujols crushed 2 bombs. And I looked at my buddy and I'm like, these guys suck. And 2 weeks later, I was there. So it was like instant karma, right?
Yeah.
But I actually liked playing there. I mean, the stadium's nice. It's beautiful, and we were there on a weekend. There was a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So if you had asked me when I was with St. Louis, Cleveland probably wouldn't be on the list. Tampa Bay would, just because I would think that at that point in my career, being a young guy, I wouldn't want to play close to my home just because I thought there would be too much off the field stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much distractions. So I would put Tampa Bay there. That's 4 teams. I got Boston, New York, Oakland, Tampa Bay, and I'll put Toronto just because it's out of the country. Yeah. And I didn't want to worry about like the currency exchange, all that crap.
Yeah, too much thinking.
So I mean, yes, Cleveland's not on the list.
Oh, there you go. All right, so Cleveland fans, people listening here in Cleveland, Chris Perez will not list Cleveland on a no trade clause. So there you go.
That was the early career Chris Perez. Now you ask me when I was with the Dodgers, that might be a little different.
All right, so you're with the Dodgers, or is Cleveland is Cleveland on the list?
Yeah, I think Cleveland's on the list. Yeah, I would switch out Cleveland and Toronto.
So I mean, even though that was 2014,
yeah.
So the Indians were coming off a playoff appearance. You would still put them on the list?
Well, I had personal, I had some past there, so yeah, I would make them have to overpay for me.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Let's anything else you want to talk about the trading deadline and how the Indians are playing, or just in Major League Baseball in general?
Well, this year it's been crazy. I mean, the trade deadline, I think there was the most deadline deals ever for the wild card era.
There was a ton.
And It was a ton, yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I really don't. I mean, teams are obviously with the second wild card. There's a lot more teams that are close, but even teams that are. I mean, the Yankees kind of went in full sale mode, and they were only like 4 games out when they actually started trading people. So I don't know. It's been weird. I think the Cubs are set up to be pretty well, have a nice run in late in October. If you look at that team, they have depth, they have experience, they have youth, they have it all. They have an old bullpen mafia member, Joe Smith now. AL wise, before this little slide, I thought the Tribe was ready to go and run away with it, but they kind of come back down to earth. I don't know if they read too much press clippings or what, or it's just baseball. They're going through a little stretch. They can get hot and win 6 in a row and be up 6 again next week. So I think they're set up for the long run. I don't like Salazar going down. Anytime you're starting pitching takes a hit. It's cause for concern, especially the way the Tigers have been playing. They need somebody to step up like Bauer. Last night's start wasn't good, but they need him to step up. Or that rookie you told me about, that they need somebody else to step up until they get to the playoffs. Yeah. Once they get to the playoffs with Kluber and Carrasco as your 1-2, you figure out your third guy, Tomlin. Yeah, you're good to go. So I think they're set up good. They just need to stay the course and stay healthy and hopefully get Brantley back. Can't really deal with too many more injuries. John Gomes is a big injury. You haven't had Brantley all year pretty much. They need to stay healthy, but if they do, they got a good shot.
It was, we're going over the schedule too. They're the key part of the schedule coming up, and then they got Detroit end of the season, basically playing them 7 times in 2 weeks. So, and the last.
I think Detroit goes obviously by how Cabrera's going. I mean, he's been hot lately, and they've been off to a nice start. If he comes back down to earth a little bit, I think they might come back down too. They're relying on an older Verlander who's still good, but he's definitely older. And then a rookie Fulmer, he might get tired here in August, September, first time pitching that many innings. So they might come back down to earth a little bit.
Dude, how about Carlos Beltran? He debuted in 1998, man, almost 18 years ago, and he was a hot commodity when it comes to the trading deadline here in 2016, man.
And watch out in the playoffs because he's a playoff monster.
Yeah.
So if he gets in with Texas, which looks like they are, he's a playoff monster. So it's unbelievable, really. You have to tip your hat to something like that because it takes a lot of discipline. Taking care of your body, getting rest, especially at that age. Making the right choices off the field, it all plays into it. So you just have to tip your hat and be amazed pretty much at what he's been doing.
And they had Chapman go from the Yankees to the Cubs. Were you there for when Chapman threw at the head at Swisher in Cincinnati? Were you there or were you gone?
I was not there. Okay. I don't think I was there.
I think that was 14.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it. One of the memories from Chapman that I remember, it was one game at home. We hit Asdrubal hit an opposite field walk-off off of like 103 mile an hour fastball.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that. Didn't he throw 105 at one pitch this year?
Yeah, I think
it's just unbelievable.
I mean, he's topping out 104, 105, but I mean, it's not like there's a drop off because all his pitchers are over 100 miles an hour.
It's unbelievable, and I thought he would. The Reds did the best thing putting him in the closer role. If they were to try to make him a starter like they originally were, I think he would have been out of baseball. But putting him in the closer's role, he can be a little wild. Especially throwing that hard, nobody's going to want to dig in on you. Obviously, now look at him. I mean, he's a beast now. He's got confidence and the control things force themselves out. So the Cubs, man, they're going to be nasty. They're going to be tough to play in the playoffs.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun next 2 months when it comes for baseball, especially here in Cleveland.
Could you imagine a Cubs-Indians World Series?
Oh man, I think the world would explode. I mean, no one ever thought Cleveland would win a championship in any sport, let alone. But when the Cavs won, so
do you know what would be so Indians and be so apropos to the Indians, right? So they waited all these years. What was it, 1958, 56? What was it, 56?
Well, the last Indians title was 48. 48.
All right, 48. 1948, right? They wait all this time to win a baseball title. wouldn't they win this year after the Cavs did? Wouldn't that do something like kind of like second fiddle? You know, the Cavs did it first. Like they probably only get like 500,000 to their parade instead of 1 million or whatever.
They would get as many people. If the Indians win the World Series, they would get as many people. Oh yeah, baseball, dude. This is
think so?
I mean, this is a football town, but baseball,
right.
baseball's second.
The Browns would be ridiculous. There might not be a city left if the Browns won.
The Browns would get 2-3 million people in the
whole
city.
It might be like the whole state would try to go there.
Yeah, it would be out of this world if the Browns. But I think if the Indians would win the World Series, it would be just as many people, if not more, for a Tribe celebration downtown.
I would like to think so.
Because a lot of people are baseball fans, they're not basketball fans, and they wouldn't make the trek downtown for a celebration for the Cavs. So I feel like Indians would bring a lot more, maybe the old timers too.
That'd be some kind of parade with all the old timers, huh?
That would be terrific. It would be awesome, man. I would love it. All right, let's go. Let's read. So I have Twitter opened up, and I'm searching Chris Perez Indians on Twitter. You mind if I read you some mean tweets about Chris Perez?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't care.
All right. This is not a mean one, but this was from Inside Tribe Town on Twitter. He says, Chris Perez, 2017 Indians Hall of Famer.
Is that like a question mark, or
No,
is he like...
He's making a statement, a bold statement.
I don't think there's any chance that's happening.
This is from Skylar Durbin on Twitter. He says, why is every Perez the Indians have not good? Remember Chris Perez?
Well, he must have some really high standards then.
This is from Ben Hendricks. He says, I bet Chris Perez wishes he was closing for the Indians now.
Yeah, anything beats in at home.
Only in Cleveland says, I wonder if the Indians would beat Brian Shaw with a sock full of bars of soap like I'm almost positive they did to Chris Perez.
That never happened. The Indians loved me. They didn't want to say it. I don't think I told you this, but after I had all the comments and everything, like a week went by, and after one of the games, Mr. Dolan was down there to shake my hand and said, he told me thank you. He's like, you said everything I've been wanting to say for years. I just can't.
Wow.
So, yeah, see, nobody ever heard that, but yeah.
All right. So you have the backing of the owner.
Yeah. So that's why I had a little more leeway. I didn't hear that after I threw Antonetti under the bus at the end of the year.
Yeah. Here, Rich says, hearing Firestarter at the Indians game gives me flashbacks to Chris Perez.
Oh, hopefully they're good flashbacks.
Yes. Here's one from James. He says, somewhere Chris Perez is stoned watching the Indians crush the Tigers, asking himself, how the hell are they doing this good?
That's about half right. I wasn't asking myself how they're doing this good. They got good players.
So we can only know what you're doing then. The Indians need to sign Chris Perez again to give the Tigers a shot. So.
Oh, no. If you look at my numbers, I crushed the Tigers. I had maybe 2 bad games against them. They were big games, but I crushed the Tigers. And the Royals.
This is from Nick. This Indians game has me more stressed out than when Chris Perez was pitching for us.
He must have just watched in 2013.
And there's a few repeating about Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw is a new Chris Perez.
Hey, you should Twitter search Chris Perez Royals. You probably get some way more vitriol on there.
Chris Perez Royals? Now,
man,
do you search yourself?
They hate me. I don't know. I'm just saying. I've never done it. I'm just guessing that they're going to have some good stuff on there.
No. The last tweet containing Chris Perez and Royals was from 300 days ago.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
Yeah.
Still, I wasn't even playing then.
From 3 years ago, talking about when you did the You Can't See Me.
Oh, yeah. That was classic.
That's classic. That was classic. Cocky Chris Perez.
You'll never see an Indians closer do that again.
No, I mean, I think. Well, I don't think any closer. I mean, now if you do a bat flip, you're going to get in a fight. Let alone show up a batter that you just struck out by doing the John Cena hand thing.
I know. You'll never see that again. I know. I was ahead of my time.
Now, are you I know you're on Twitter, but you're not very, openly about.
I'm secretly on Twitter. Yeah.
Are you gonna get back on Twitter? I know you did.
I'm on there. I've been tweeting a lot lately.
I know, but you're secretly. I'm not gonna give it out, but I'm just saying you're secretly on there. But I mean,
if you can if you're good at, it's really not hard to figure it out. If you see my name and my handle.
Yeah,
and do some research. It's really not that hard.
I'm sure you get. I tweet at you, so it's not a secret. But I'm sure some Indians fans see it. But.
I'm not on the. It's not like my picture is me with an Indians hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on there. I'm just stealthily.
So
I love it now because I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
The only person I have to answer to is my wife.
Do you? So you're living. So I'm really quick before we wrap it up. I know pushing noon here, but so you're living in Tampa, and you live in a very, very nice part of town. Who are some of your neighbors?
Well, in our neighborhood we have let's see, just baseball wise, we have Roberto Alomar lives on my same block.
Okay.
So does Mariano Rivera owns a house, but I never see him. I think he just it's a huge house. I think he just lives here for spring training. That's it.
Okay.
Although Fred McGriff lives in the neighborhood. An ex-Indian, Nick Swisher, lives in the neighborhood.
All right.
So that's baseball-wise. Football-wise, right across the street from me is the ex-owner of the 49ers, Eddie DeBartolo Jr. He won 5 Super Bowls as the owner. We have Tony Dungy lives in the neighborhood. John Gruden. I think that's about it for sports. Oh, Lou Piniella, an ex-big leaguer. Lou Piniella lives in the neighborhood. So we got a pretty good neighborhood going.
So
and then Melvin Upton Jr. bought our house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I call him BJ, but you corrected it. It's Melvin.
Maybe a name change would have worked for you, maybe.
I don't know what I would go. I mean, Firestarter Perez? I don't know. Like, what would I...
That would be terrific.
I don't know what if...
You got to add the junior on there. Firestarter Perez Jr.
Meta World Perez. I could have been Meta World Perez.
Or you could just make Pure Rage Jr. or something.
Yeah, we had so many options,
So what I'm getting to is that you are Chris Perez, Mr. Bearded man that has no filter, is a member of a country club, and what sport do you play now that you're partaking in multiple different times during the week? What sport is that?
I like to play clay court tennis.
Now, okay, when you sent me that, I thought you were, when you were joking, but you are dead serious. You are serious about your tennis game.
Yeah, I play 3 or 4 times a year, a week. Yeah, 3 or 4 times a week. Got a match out there. I put on my sweatbands and lace up my shoes, and I get after it. It's I get dirty, I cuss, I spit, I have fun.
Are you really into it? Because you're known for your.
No, I'm not. I am sometimes. I want to play good, but it is what it is. I've only been playing for 10 months, so I'm not great. But it's fun. It's great exercise. I like playing against the older guys and slamming it right in their face. Because they're like, who's this guy? Because I dress kind of like a clown. I wear weird socks and mismatched shirts and shorts. I'm like, yeah, here to play. And they're like, who's this guy? And then I get out there and I just, smack it around and I can move around pretty good. And they're like, wow, man, okay, I guess you're okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right.
That's a funny. I would come down to Tampa just to watch you play tennis. I think that would be. If you want to be my ball boy, you can come down anytime. I'm definitely not going to be a ball boy. I have more respect for this. I would definitely sit there and we can live stream. We could do a live stream. Chris Perez. Yeah, this would be terrific. Periscope it. Periscope it. I got me and my partner. We're pretty good. We're young and youthful and energetic. We're not the best players out there, but we have lots of heart. So kind of like the Indians back in the day.
Just like the Indians, yeah. With almost as much fan support. Yeah. Just joking.
All right. You, how's Melanie? You have 3 kids now?
Yeah, I got 3 kids. Max is going to be 6 in September. My daughter Madeline's going to be 4 in September. And Emmett just turned 1 a couple months ago. So
So everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. Doing fine down there.
Doing great. You can't complain.
Are you still throw at all?
I haven't played a ball in 2 years. Well, since I retired.
Really? You haven't picked up a ball at all?
No, nothing. I mean, I play catch with my son, but I can't throw.
I mean, you're not Goose Scotches, throwing 80 mile an hour, 90 mile an hour fastball at your son, probably. Or no,
not yet.
Not Goose, but for Major League, the pitcher from the Yankees in Major League who threw at his son at a father-son game. It's from the movie. You probably haven't.
I'm not that guy. Not yet.
No, okay.
I'm not that guy yet.
Anything you want to say to the city of Cleveland or just baseball fans in general?
Oh, man, I think baseball is, it's in a good spot right now. A lot of young stars. Cleveland, same thing. Finally got a good manager who's turned the front office to a different kind of mentality and mindset, and I think good things are still in store there. Every year Tito's there's going to be, you guys are going to have a chance. Sometimes it's not going to work out, but you know that he's got a good plan and you got a good chance. So just be happy.
You gotta do this more often, man. It's been a while since we did a show. It's been fun.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the reaction is, and I'm up for it whenever. I don't care.
All right. So where can they find you anywhere? Do you want to put out your Twitter, or you want to do anything like that, or no?
Oh, you can do it. I don't care. You can do whatever you want.
All right. I'll link it for everybody. But yeah. So Chris Perez here on More Glen More Podcast. Really appreciate it, Chris, and we'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Sounds good.